Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the BJ Destruction League, brought to you by Afrika TV and Alpha X. My name is Rushy. So excited to be here again for day number 3 of this fun team event being hosted in Korea by some of the best GSL professionals currently in the circuit. We've had a very good 2 days so far leading up to this event, and we're still kind of in full swing here. Really working our way through the remainder of this team league, getting us set up for our next season of GSL, and just bringing us more quality StarCraft 2 content in the scene currently. It's so exciting. It's 2020. StarCraft 2 is about 10 years old, and we're still seeing some of this amazing, high-quality, well-produced content brought to the esports scene by all of the different stakeholders and partners in StarCraft 2 sports scene. So, very, very excited to be bringing this to you today. We're going to take a look at our format here. For those of you that might be experiencing this the first time, this is a team league, so there is a fair amount of money on the line for all of these players, not only for their teams, but individually. Each individual game brings them a little bit of prize money, with the goal being the overall victory for their team. So far, we are 2 days in, and we've got a good match set up today. Our two undefeated teams will be squaring off against each other. The rest of our teams will be looking for their first wins. So, lots at stake today as we continue to position ourselves on the leaderboard. 3 Zerg and Big Brother Cure sitting at top. Only one of them can be on top today. We can see that our Zerg players have been outstanding in this series so far. Both Dongray Gu and Solar showcasing their power with all kills on their teams, but don't count the rest of them out. They are certainly looking for more of their first and second victories today. And I'm sure that we will find it as we have some new matchups and new teams that will be squaring off that haven't yet seen each other in this team series. But it will be very, very exciting to see how our top 2 teams square off against each other today in Big Brother Cure and 3 Zerg. And we can see that here in our match number 1. We will have the team of Solar, Cure, and Armani going up against Rogue, Ragnarok, and DRG. And our second match will be a PvP fest. Zest, Stats, and Special versus Trap, Patience, and Creator. Lots of Zerg, lots of Protoss today, and then we have our 2 Terran representatives anchoring it down the fort. So our first match, again, is our battle of the undefeateds right now. Both teams showcasing that they've got the power to go the distance in this matchup. 3 Zerg actually only exercising the remainder of their team yesterday. DRG, day number 1, taking down his opponent 3-0, taking care of the all-kill all by himself. Solar carrying a lot of the weight in Big Brother Cure, but Cure coming out yesterday to show why his name gets to go on the team and cleaning up the remainder of the victory there. So, should be an outstanding match number 1. Once again, that team positioning is so important as we get into our playoff situation for Thursday and Friday. Every single win counts, and if we end up with tied scores, it's going to be the tiebreakers between these 2 teams to determine who actually gets to be in the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. So today, very, very important match coming up. But we also have the second match being just as important here. Why Are You Here and Beef Rice Stew both looking for their first team wins of the series. And again, it's going to be a lot of Protoss. So we'll be interested to see how that all shakes out. But we are going to jump right in to our game number 1 between our 2 undefeated teams. It's going to be on Death Aura, spawning in the top left. It's going to be our lone Terran player on Big Brother Cure. Give it up for Cure. And spawning into the bottom right, our red Zerg. Playing for 3 Zerg. Give it up for Ragnarok. Now, Ragnarok's actually kind of been a new entry into the Twitch scene as of late. I know Ragnarok has been streaming on Twitch, also putting out some very good YouTube content as well. So if you are a Zerg player and you're looking for more opportunities to check out the different builds that some of these Korean professionals use, I know Ragnarok is a great person to tap into. But there's also a lot going on in the Afrika TV scene as well, as I believe all of these players as a part of this event are actually required to stream. So we're starting to see more and more online StarCraft 2 content brought to you by the professionals that play it themselves. Of course, with the global pandemic, some of the things have had to change over the course of the year, and it'll be interesting to see how many of these changes stick around for good and how many of them will just be during this unprecedented time. But I think more online content of StarCraft 2, I think it's a good thing. I think there's a lot of benefits to that. But we'll have to see what all shakes out of this as we do get set up with game number 1, Death Aura being our default first match here. Again, I absolutely love, I cannot stress this enough, I love the map mechanics here on Death Aura. So many cool features, it's just a neat map tile. And I really enjoy the mechanics of the acceleration zones in the center. So right now, both of our players opening up not too crazy. Ragnarok holding off on his third base for now, actually putting out a good number of lings here. 6 Zerglings is a little bit more than normal. And Kjor's going to see that, and he's got to recognize this, that the typical 4 Zerglings currently not out. Could be a little bit of a mind game here by Ragnarok, because behind this, he's not really investing in too much more. Trying his hardest to secure that third base, and there goes that drone. And this is going to be a very fast third base by Kjor. So the third base going down in the main. Now Ragnarok does have Overlords positioned so that way he can see and react to this. But it's going to be a matter of when he gets that scout off. The longer he waits to scout that third command center, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to immediately react, as he could get on very aggressively and push himself to a quick game number 1 win. But it is going to be delayed a bit right now. Marines are already on patrol, and if anything, Ragnarok should pull up with an Overlord and see that and start immediately getting some feedback on what he might be looking at here. Aside from that quick third command center, it is going to be a Liberator opener along with these Hellions. So Hellions going to push out across the map. Ragnarok actually now going in with that Overlord, going to try and get a good scout off, and it looks like the investment into pneumatized carapace is going to be effective here. He is going to get a chance to see both the main and the natural, and comes up with that information. So he knows that a third command center is already in play. In fact, orbital command already finishing up. A second Liberator incoming as well as Kjor starting that stim pack upgrade, and actually gets a great surround on those Hellions here. Oh, making use of the acceleration zones here. Gets the Reaper as well. And Kjor starting with a little less map control and map presence here in game number 1. Ragnarok doing a nice job getting that pseudo wall started at the natural, throwing down 2 of those evolution pits. And now the first Liberator is going to arrive on scene here for the third base. Oh, these queens are going to force themselves here into the center. One queen does get taken down. I think he could possibly lose a second queen if he's not careful. Ooh, some very good micro stutters that back, so that way it can spread out the damage. So only 1 queen lost to that engagement. Saves all of the drones, -1. But that is going to stilt his creep spread just a little bit, losing 1 of those queens. Now the third base is out on scene already, and Kjor is going to be able to secure that rather easily. Lairtech finally going down here for Ragnarok, delaying it just a little bit so he can stay focused on his drone production here, getting all the way up to 60 drones. And Ragnarok also going to throw down his 4th base. So we are going to move this out into a bit of a normal macro game. Now on Death Aura here, this is a bit of an easier map to spread out on. There's lots of run-by paths for the Zerg player. Lots of good places to siege up as well for our Terran player. So this map does kind of benefit both sides. You don't usually see that very often. A lot of times you will see the benefits only lie in one direction. But again, I'm really, really enamored with the map pool this season. I think that this will provide a good amount of variety and opportunity for both of our players. But here comes the first push of the game here. Cure going to set up with the Medivacs here. He's actually just going to run straight into the main base. The Hellions acting as a little bit of a distraction here as Cure does try to set up. The Queen's still on the low ground. We'll be able to try and deflect off the rotation, and he will force those Medivacs back and away. 1-1 just about to finish for both players, so they will stay pretty even on their drone count. Oh, and all of those creep tumors actually do get cleaned up, so that does hurt a little bit for Ragnarok, and Cure going to be able to clean up a good chunk of that. Lots of bio streaming across the map here, so Cure going to try and set up for a little bit of a push. He's actually in a great position here, 65 to 42 army supply. The Baneling count is sufficient, but without Baneling speed, this is going to be a tough engagement here. Tank's going to arrive as well and make this a little bit more difficult. Here's one of the examples I was talking to you about of really good tank siege positions. It'll be very difficult for Ragnarok to get on top of this, but the Zerglings are just going to stream on into the 3rd base here. The wall is down, and all of these units are just going to retreat. Oh, Ragnarok wants all of these back at home. He is going to try and set up a surround. This 4th base is getting dangerously low. Queen Transfuses do hold on to it a little bit, but the Baneling speed only now finishes up, and he is going to lose that 4th base. So he is already rotating that down to the 6 o'clock position. So a new 4th base already on the way. But it does come at the cost of a little bit of economic advantage. So Ragnarok going to poke up with these Lings once again, and he actually, he almost has a good angle to get into the natural, but good tank positioning will make that a little bit more difficult. Spire now complete for Ragnarok, and he has Mutalisk on the way. In fact, 12 Mutas incoming at this time. This would be a very good tech switch here for Ragnarok, but Cure is kind of operating on all cylinders here. He's got a fair amount of Marines and tanks. Drilling Claws on the way for those Widow Mines, so he will have a really nice transition here as he does move out to his 4th base, and Cure really securing his lead in this game at number 1. So he's going to take a little bit of work and try and push the creep back a little bit further. And now these Mutas do show themselves. Not a very good engagement here, tossing away a lot of those Zerglings. That 5th base is going to get canceled once again, and actually that gets killed off all the way. So that is 300 lost minerals there. Ragnarok desperately trying to find any sort of damage in this game. So moves across the map with the Lings and the Mutas here, and he just consistently finds more and more units to try and contend with. Cure is just all over the map in all the places that he needs to be to protect against himself in these run-bys, and these Mutas have just basically been rendered useless so far in this game. It's a large lack of Banelings at this point. Ragnarok really not leaning into any of the larger Baneling count, really just focusing on that Muta count and focusing on the Lings. Only now does he finally get up ahead in that Baneling count here and starts using them to his advantage. A good little surround here with Banelings on both sides. We'll be able to clean up a good chunk of the Bio Army here. And that will allow him to separate the Marines from the tanks. And the tanks all get cleaned up. Ragnarok finally taking a really good engagement here, but Cure still has quite a bit here. No Banelings behind this, and the Baneling nest is actually exposed, and Cure's just going to jump right on top of it. That's out. Oh, that's outstanding damage here for Cure. 9 Banelings on the way, but that's going to be it for right now. And this has got to be Cure's time to shine. He knows that he doesn't have any tanks, but I guess he's got one. And that's really all he needs. Once those banelings are down, there's just not a whole lot that can be done about these remaining Marines. So the new Baneling nest is about halfway done. So Ragnarok just needs to buy himself a little bit of time. But I mean, this is such a dangerous position to play from if you're Ragnarok. There are just so many Marines, and these Mutalisks just don't have a great place to engage. 34 more Lings on the way. Ragnarok trying to make anything he possibly can. He does not have any other tech options here. Finally, now the Baneling nest is allowed to complete. The creep spread is rather far back, just does not have the surface area that he needs to be able to engage Cure. Cure playing very, very cautiously. He knows that he's in a good position. He's able to transition. He's got the Widow Mines as a part of this army composition now. He's working out to his 5th base. And if you're a Terran player working on securing your 5th base and your opponent doesn't even have their 5th base down, you know you're in an outstanding position. So Cure going to start working a little bit more confidently here, working to engage on these. So many Zerglings going down. The Mutas are trying to deal a little counter damage on the opposite side of the map, but Ragnarok almost needs those Mutas here to help with the fight. Good spread on the Marines will mitigate the damage from the Banelings. Good mine shot off on those Mutalisks, and that will create some more damage for Ragnarok. Cure has just so much, though, and Ragnarok can't hold on. GG is called. Game number 1 going to Big Brother Cure. Outstanding play here. Cure just owning the map control and never yielding it back to his Zerg opponent. So, very good game number 1 here by Big Brother Cure. And again, Cure is showing why his name gets to go on the team. He is the Big Brother, and Big Brother is going to come out and show his teammates how it's done. So that is going to move us into game number 2. Now, we know from Cure's angle, he can plan very, very efficiently. I mean, 3 Zerg is literally consistent of 3 Zerg players. So if Cure wants to take this all the way to a 3-0 victory, he'll just get to play TVZ all the way through. So he can continue to plan and think, all right, what am I going to do against my next 2 opponents? In either Dong Regu or Rogue. Dong Regu actually has, I think, the best win rate out of the entire league right now, going 4-1. So far in our first 2 days of play. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Dong Regu go last in this team group because of his high win rate. He might want to try and preserve that a little bit more. Keep your ringer in last, right? But it does look like we are going to find out who Cure's next opponent is in this next series. And it is going to be DRG. So spawning on Everdream, Cure in the top right corner, and DRG, Dong Regu, in the bottom left. So it is good to know that DRG is going to hit the field and put himself in a good position to try and re-secure control of this match between these two. Again, these are both undefeated teams. One of these teams will rise to the top for at least now. And it's kind of interesting how it all laid out. All of these teams preset from day number 1. So it's really interesting to see how it did kind of line up that way. Just right after both of those teams jump out to 2-0 starts. And we get a chance to have the 2 best teams square off against each other. So I think that's really neat. Really fun for building some good hype in this series. And it just sets us for some very good production going forward. Of course, this is day number 3 out of 7 of the BJ Destruction League. We've got 2 more days of what we'll call regular season play before we set up for our playoffs on day 6 and 7, which will be Thursday and Friday. Now, with these all being best of 1 games within our teams, I'm actually a little surprised that we're not seeing a little bit more aggressive play going out from the beginning. But if you think about it, it's not really a super Korean heavy style to just be blindly aggressive, especially in these types of games. You know that typically, if you look at like the North American or the European scene, those tend to have a little bit more dedicated aggressive openings, where if you look at the GSL qualifiers, if you look at GSL events, you more times than not will see some just good standard macro openings, and the Korean players yielding to more strong timing attacks than anything else. And I think Dongri-gu absolutely kind of resembles that position as well as Cure. So we've already seen some very good dedicated pressure. It's actually interesting, I would say, out of the Korean scene right now, it seems like the Protoss players tend to be a little bit more on the super aggressive side, still utilizing those strong build orders, but kind of leaning into the strengths of their race at this time, utilizing those DT timing, Dark Templar timings, or Resonating Glaive Adept timings. And we'll get a chance to see a lot of Protoss here in our second match. It's going to be mostly Zerg in match number 1 today. Both of our players opening rather standard here. We are now finally seeing Cure go into that Banshee Cloak. So utilizing one of the tech path options here. DRG getting off to a little bit faster start than his teammate Ragnarok did in game number 1. Getting that third base down a little bit quicker. He is taking a little bit of drone damage, losing a couple of drones here early on in the game. The Queen's working to rotate around and try and mitigate the scouting and damage of those Hellions. Zergling Speed will be able to help with that process, as well as he is able to zone these units out just a little bit more effectively. So now Cure is kind of showing his hand a little bit here, with more Hellions being added into the mix. It's going to be 6 Hellions out across the map. That is going to force DRG into a quick little scout, and he is going to see the tech lab operating on that starport. So no battle cruiser incoming, at least at this moment in time, but he's got to know that there is a Banshee that should be on its way, and some really good damage mitigation here by DRG, able to zone out and pick off all of those Hellions, and even grabs the Reaper as well. Good scout here by DRG. We'll see that the Banshee is incoming, and that Cloak is already here. That Lair Tech is on the way. There's already a Spore down in the main base, though, so this Banshee will try and pick up a couple of kills. In fact, it'll get 2. And it will fly away. Job not well done, but job done. Actually, he's going to stick around and try and grab a third, but he's got to be careful. Third base of Cure already on the way. The Lings do pick away at it just for a brief amount of time, get the scouting information, and he knows that there is not a big push coming behind this, so he can just sit back. He can defend these Banshees, zone this off, and he can drone just a little bit more. Those drones already on the way out. Now, the arrival of the second Banshee is going to force a more dedicated response here by DRG. He is pulling those Queens back up and away to zone this out a little bit. Oh, one of those Banshees getting dangerously low. Behind this for Cure, this is just going to be Biotank once again, which is, I mean, it's always been a very strong composition in the Zerg or Terran versus Zerg matchup. Oh, these Banshees getting a lot of work done, able to clean up so many of those creep tumors before even needing a scan, and that scan will be able to pick up so much more. The third base of Cure arriving on scene here. These Zerglings trying to whittle away a little bit of damage. 1-1 actually over halfway completed here for Cure. DRG only getting his 1-1 started right now. So when this first push arrives for Cure, DRG's going to have a bit of a disadvantage in the upgrade count, at least for now. Oh, Zerglings coming out across the map. They do see that this first push is incoming. No tank along with it. So this will not be as strong as it could be. But Cure is going to use the opportunity to pick up a little bit of creep. Actually, using some of that drop micro to pick off one of the Banelings that was not being tended to completely. You're going to rotate on the top side here with these Banshees to see if they can get on top of a fourth base that is not ultimately in that location. Fourth base being taken down on the bottom side near the main. So instead, we'll just use a scan, clean up some of the creep. And Cure doing a great job today in day number 3 to keep that creep spread minimal for his Zerg opponents. We do see yet another transition into Mutiling Bane here by DRG, wanting to opt for a more mobile army. DRG doing a nice job trying to get the creep out to the center of the map. He's going to have to continue working on this. These Banshees able to work down one of the gas geysers, so that's actually some nice damage here, and picking up 8 workers. Those Banshees more than paying for themselves at that third base location, getting a nice amount of damage done. And that actually evens out the drone count, 70 to 69. And that's going to be able to allow Cure to start working into a bit of a position here. Fourth base not yet on the ground. He's got the opportunity to start working towards it at this time. DRG going to try and clear up some more of these paths. In fact, actually, the fourth base just now arrives on site. And that's going to force DRG to try and respond here. Lots and lots of biotank moving across the map to get aggressive, and DRG trying to buy himself a little bit of time. Does send a big patch of Zerglings over to the third base to try and get more damage done here. One of the tanks caught on the low ground before the tank on the high ground gets a chance to seal into place. He's going to be able to grab one tank and get out with a majority of his army. So Cure now starting to work on a bigger mech response to deal with the Mutalisk of DRG, getting Thors out, working on cleaning up more and more of this creep. Once again, the Baneling count dangerously low here for DRG, not quite enough to be able to push that off, and that's because the Banelings are all up top here. Banelings are going to try and do a little run by, but a nice wall by Cure will make this a little bit more difficult. He's just going to use some of those Banelings to break down the wall, so he won't be as effective against the worker line. But 7 workers do go down, and taking down a good chunk of supply with them, and that actually does supply block Cure for a brief amount of time. Cure forced to use a supply call down, which does burn some energy, so that's a nice, helpful play here. Now, DRG has done a nice job of maintaining his creep and pushing it out further and further, which does slow down Cure's push a little bit. He doesn't want to push too far onto creep. He's a little worried about the surround potential. Everdream having a lot of good pathing here. And DRG going to try and engage on 2 different sides here. All the tanks are completely exposed. They will get picked up almost immediately. Very, very good positioning by DRG. And with a supply lead, he is going to be able to push out here. He does push into the Planetary Fortress. He's got to be careful. This Planetary is going to get a lot of damage done. The Banelings come in from behind and get so much work done, and they're going to get right on top of this Planetary, and DRG just absolutely rolls Cure over. He evens out on the supply count, but takes 15 workers down with him. So at this point, he just needs to figure out a way to hold his +3 on the way. Adrenal Glands as well, getting some more of those precious Banelings. And with his creep spread still being rather strong in the center of the map, that will buy him just a little bit more time. Only 1 Thor and the rest are Banelings. So Zerglings are just fine in this composition here. Oh, Baneling's going to get into the mineral line here, and these are going to get just as much damage done as last time, picking off 7 more workers. Look at that worker count, 81 to 55. Cure having a very strong army count lead, but DRG maximizing the amount of damage that he's getting done here. but his bank is rather low. He's not able to remax all at once. He's got 9 Banelings on the way, but as Marauders start getting added into the mix here, I'm wondering if Cure has enough to deal with this. And another big Baneling run by, trying to get some more damage done. It will try and get on top of these units. The tank will mitigate most of that damage here. Only 3 workers going down. Not as efficient of a trade here on the second run by. Cure anchoring down a little bit more of a defensive position here, not able to fall victim to DRG's split tactics here. And I think if you're DRG, you do need to hang on to those Banelings. There's just so many Marines on the map, and you don't want to be caught in the center of the map with only Zerglings at this point. Lots more mass added to this army. Good Marauder count. A couple of Thors will allow the army to be able to engage underneath Mutalisk. And the Widow Mines are also here as well. They are going to drill down. No drilling claws just yet, so they are a little bit slow, but with the new patch change, they are always invisible. With that armory, Baneling's going to come in on the top side here, trying to find those delicate Marines, and actually Cure doing a nice job splitting those all out. DRG not trading as effectively here. Ultras will be able to help with this fight, but the Marauder count is still rather high, so he has to find a way to make this work. And all of the Zergling count is down. DRG's going to have to abandon this 4th base location, and Cure with a strong position here in the center of the map, even standing so deep onto creep. Cure could possibly take this up 2-0 in the series and bring himself to a match with Rogue. DRG has a little bit of army here, but 110 to 40 pales in comparison to the army count of Cure. DRG sending Zerglings up to the top side to try desperately at that 3rd base location once again to clean this up, but as those Banelings get picked away at, this is going to be very dangerous territory for DRG. DRG does manage to get on top of that 3rd base, cleaning up the mineral line and being forced back and away, but once again it comes at the cost of yet another base, so DRG back down to 4 bases, hanging even with his opponent on base count, but not hanging even on the economic count. And Cure's just going to continue pushing on in. There's just nothing here that can slow this down. He can lose all the workers behind it because he's taken tech down with him. Baneling Nest goes down. There will be no more Banelings on the map, and that is just enough. GG is called, and Cure taking a quick 2-0 for his team. We could be looking at an all-kill situation here. Moving out to a potential match point here against the remaining member of 3 Zerg in Rogue. So, well played by Cure. I mean, we're starting to see how all of these teams are slowly separating themselves in this bracket here. And we are 1 game away from potentially seeing one of those undefeated teams fall. If Rogue is going to bring a victory for 3 Zerg, he is going to have to all kill Big Brother Cure. And that is going to be a bit of a tall order here, because not only does he have Cure to contend with, but 2 other Zerg players in Solar and Armani. So he's got a long ways to go if he wants to do it, but he absolutely can. The IEM Katowice champion and BlizzCon champion certainly has shown that he can go the distance in multiple difficult matches to bring himself a victory. But it's going to have to start now for our Korean Zerg, as Cure is showing that he is playing very dominantly today. Whew. Gotta get my water here. With this later production cycle, it actually switched up my sleep cycle here. So where the last 2 days casting this event has been at the end of my day, and now with it being 5 a.m. in the United States Central Time, I got a chance to wake up this morning and begin my Monday casting this off. So some very good advantages in the fact that we get to have coffee. I can have coffee with this cast, which is outstanding. But it does mean Takes a little while for me to get woken up and rolling here. But you know who isn't worried about that? It's our blue Terran player here. Just dominating in this series, bringing himself to a match point over his opponent in the bottom right of Golden Wall in Rogue. So Cure showing that he is all fired up and ready to go in this series. Can his opponent take him down? Golden Wall going to be the third map in this series. It's a much bigger, expansive map. Now, we've seen Rogue be able to do both sides of the coin for Zerg aggression here. Being able to bring himself to these big, long, drawn-out macro games. And also being able to showcase very quick timing attacks. And making the most of the shorter maps to bring himself a quick, aggressive advantage. But with Golden Wall being such a wide expanse, I can see both of these players really taking the distance here and trying to drag this one out. And Rogue might find his strength in that as well, being able to utilize the map, get spread out, try and throw down 4 or 5 bases, and make the most of the space he has to work with. So we're going to have to see what ends up shaking out here in game number 3. As both of our players are opening up pretty safely. Which, once again, with this being such a large map, not an uncommon sight. That drone going to try and sneak out for an early third expansion, but the SCV is going to arrive at about the same time, so that is going to get picked off and blocked. The Reaper going to go straight to that third base location to pick off this drone. We'll have to see if Rogue tries to rotate down to that gold base with another drone, and it looks like he's not going to. Just going to try and save that drone. Oh, he is able to sneak it on right at the last second. Ooh, 4 Zerglings able to pick off the SCV, and that's going to force the Reaper back in a way. He doesn't have enough here at home to try and defend that, but very good micro by Rogue, mind gaming Cure just a little bit, pulling him off of the third base is going to allow Rogue to get his third base down with, minimal damage and a minimal tile loss. So 1-1-1 incoming for Cure. Now this could be a good map for battle cruisers if Cure wants to take it in that direction. We won't know until this starport is done and completed if that's the direction he wants to go, but he is going to open with some Hellion harassment. Reaper's going to get back across the map and try and get a little bit more scouting information. Wants to confirm that that third base did in fact go down, and seeing the Queen coming from that third base ramp will give him the indication that that is in fact the case. It's going to be a Banshee with Cloak, which is another great option in this map. Those Banshees can use the bottom side of the map to get across rather undetected. Zerg player doesn't want to spend too many of his overlords on the bottom side of that map to scout, because not a whole lot's going to go down that direction. Overlord of Rogue is going to get in, is going to see the Banshee Cloak incoming, and armor going down as well. This could be a bit of a Hellbat timing along with these Banshees. So more Hellions hitting the map, 6 on the ground so far. More Queens on the way for Rogue to try and push this creep spread out a little bit more. Those Marines already on patrol, not going to allow Rogue to scout in without sacrificing that Overlord. But at this point, I think Rogue has an idea of what is potentially coming. He is delaying his lair tech, at least for now, but he's got that big Queen count. I think it's possible he might think that it is still a possibility that battle cruisers are on the way, but having that large number of Queens is not bad in any sort of regard. Yeah, and it is going to be this Hellion timing here. That Overlord is going to scout this a little bit late. Can Rogue get those queens up here to block and help zone this out? These Zerglings are not going to be enough. No Banelings on the way as well. 1-1 is incoming. Only now does the Lair Tech hit the main hatchery. He's doing a nice job of zoning this out, forcing a lot of wait time here for Cure. That's giving him just enough time to get set into place. Zergling going to try and attack the wall to draw a little bit of distraction, but here comes the main push of the army here. Hellbat's going to wander on into that third base location. One already getting picked down. The Zerglings still not going to be enough. Are going to try and jump on top of one of those lonely Hellbats, and that will continue to mitigate that damage. And Cure doing a really, really poor job of getting on top of this, but it's going to be the Banshees on the bottom side that will finally find a little bit of damage here. Queen's getting dangerously off of creep. He's got to be careful. Energy going very, very low, and two of those Queens are going to go down almost right away. 5 Hellbats remaining. Rogue doing a nice job so far of trying to mitigate all of this damage, but there are so many drones at that third base location. He could easily lose a lot of that if he's not careful, and 6 of those drones are down so far. Really no response to the Queens just yet. Oh my gosh, that's so close to all of those Hellbats, but the Hellbats do finally get cleaned up. One of the Banshees will fall. 10 workers do go down. Rogue could have lost a lot more to this, though, so he's going to walk away feeling okay. But he's going to have to try and find a way to stay in this, as the second push is already underway. Oh, Zergling's going to sneak into the natural here. Cure's going to have to respect that. That's going to buy Rogue a little bit of time here. He's going to try and get on top of these SCVs and get more damage done, and this is a fair amount of damage here. 6 Zerglings going down. He might be able to pick off a few more. 9 SCVs in total going down. So Rogue getting a little bit of return damage here. 74 to 46, evening that out the advantage that he has, and Rogue staying very high on his overall supply count. So he's going to be able to get his Spire down and moving here. +2 on the way as well. And actually, that is a nice little tech advantage here over his Terran opponent. Cure only now about halfway done with his +1 combat shield, just now finishing up as well. And Cure invested a lot into that Hellbat timing here, and Rogue being able to mitigate a lot of the damage will be able to advance forward with this. Using that surround in a very, very sleek, quick fashion here. Rogue is going to get his Zergling over to the gold base and see that Cure is expanding down in that direction. So the economic advantage that Rogue has right now will be mitigated a little bit by that gold expansion. But hopefully it was the tank shot that gives Rogue the indication that he might need to rotate here and provide a little bit more defense at his main. These tanks going to be able to engage on top of this base with the built-in mineral wall here. Rogue's going to try and punish it, though. He knows that that is incoming. Those tanks are going to get sieged up into position, but there's just not a lot here to protect the third base. These Zerglings going to get a nice surround on these Marines. He's going to be able to pick up all of those. There's no tanks back at home to defend against this. So this is a lot more economic damage, and all of the workers at the third base will go under fire. But here comes the main part of the scary push here for Cure. If Rogue can hang on to this, he'll be in an outstanding position. Banelings alone will not be able to deal with this by themselves. But here come the Queens, here come the Mutalisk to try and engage on top of that. But these Zerglings getting so much economic damage done here at the third base. He is going to finally have to respect this and pull this back so he can engage on top of all of this. Those Mutas getting some very good micro down, picking off one of the tanks, and taking down one of those tanks actually removes a lot of the teeth from that push of Cure. Rogue exploding forward in supply count, 178 to 130. And Cure has just got no damage done. Rogue is all over the map here. Zerglings back into the third base once again. Banelings are going to be able to jump on top of this as well. Cure's got to be careful. He's going to toss all of those Marines away if he's not careful. And so much of the supply of Cure just being erased from the map. 10 more workers going down. The entire gold mineral line going to get picked off. Rogue in a commanding position here in game number 3. Does not want his team to get all killed. and he sets himself up for a potential reverse sweep. GG is called, and Rogue with a commanding game number 3 on Golden Wall. Very, very well played by our Zerg player. So, Big Brother Cure out with their namesake player. So it's going to come down to the other 2 Zerg players to finish off this series. Whew. Very, very good play by Rogue, mitigating a lot of the damage that took down his teammates. And now it's going to be ZVZ the rest of the way here for this match number 1 of today. We have so many games left to play. Of course, possible 2 more games in this match number 1. But then we have a second match after our advertising break to showcase the PvP potential in this series. So, Big Brother Cure looking to gain 1 more win. We'll have to figure out which player they're going to send out against Rogue. It's going to be either Solar or Armani. And as we get set and ready, I do want to take an opportunity to thank the different sponsors that help make this event possible here in Titan EX1 and G Fuel. Thanks so much for helping Alpha X make this a possibility. So now spawning in the top right for Big Brother Cure, it is going to be Armani to try and come out and lay claim to the 3rd point and move a 3-1 victory in the direction of Big Brother Cure. And Armani's going to try and do it off of the back of a 14 pool. So, very interesting position here for Armani. We are on Pillars of Gold. Pillars of Gold is a little bit of a larger map, probably more a medium-sized map in the current pool. But he is getting out on the map very, very quickly with an opening drone. I'm wondering if that's going to be used to try and scout, or if he is going to proxy. He is running to the 3rd base of Rogue. Is this going to end up being a proxy? That drone kind of scouting around right now, trying to get as much information as possible. This could be a spine crawler going down. 8 Zerglings going down as well. It is going to be a proxy. It's going to be right in the face of Rogue. Oh my goodness. Oh, he's just going to use that. Oh, wait. Was Rogue able to see that? No. I love this play by Armani, utilizing the creep from the hatchery to create himself a spine crawler on the low ground. Is able to get that up. It is going to be partially damaged, but it is possible that it's going to be the timing that makes this effective. And Rogue does not yet know about the spine crawler. There it finally is, and the drones are here, so Rogue's got to buy himself time, but how's he going to do it here? 6 Zerglings on the way for Rogue. He's going to drone drill to buy himself as much time as possible, but there's already 1 spine crawler here. He's got to engage on top of it. He is going to catch all these workers on the ramp. Does get all of his drones down to the low ground to protect himself. Thought about trying to build one of those spines on the low ground, but now the fight begins here. Rogue still has a higher work count here, 15 to 12. But the army count is about the same. And he's got those workers on hold. Armani zoning out all of those Zerglings. Rogue is in trouble here. The drone count going down, and Armani is able to take the quick 3-1 here, shutting down his opponent and making that a GG call for this match. And Big Brother Cure moving out to a 3-1 victory in this series and separating themselves as the clear favored team in the BJ Destruction League Season 2. So, 3 Zerg is going to fall to 2-1. And it's going to be Big Brother Cure moving out to a 3-0 victory in this series. Wonderful, wonderful play. So, that is going to be the end of our match number 1. I think some really fun Zerg play Armani taking advantage of Rogue's desire to continue going for macro play. I mean, and this kind of happened to Rogue a lot in 2020. Of course, getting knocked out in season 1 of GSL by Scarlet, kind of falling to the same sort of shenanigans. So Rogue will need to work on some maybe aggressive plays of his own here as GSL season 2 starts to approach. And actually, I believe that starts on Friday. So right at the conclusion of the BJ Destruction League, we'll transition right into GSL Season 2. So we'll get a chance to see more of Rogue, obviously, this week in the BJ Destruction League. Hopefully, we will start seeing more of the meta unfold as the second season arrives. We're getting more comfortable not only with our patch changes, but also with the new maps in the pool. And again, I can't stress enough how much I really like the maps. I love the position that the season is shaping up to be. And of course, here we are, our match number 1 results. Cure taking 2 of those wins. Our Rogue tries to get the reverse sweep here. Armani says, no, not today. And secures that 3-1 team victory. So we are going to get set up and ready for our match number 2 in a large number of Protoss opponents. But right before we toss it to the break, I do want to take an opportunity to thank some of our sponsors here of Alpha X. And one of those sponsors is, in fact, Manscaped. Manscaped, one of our newest sponsors in the Alpha X series here. So thank you, Manscaped. Father's Day is right around the corner, and our new sponsor, Manscaped, has the perfect gift to give or receive. Their state-of-the-art line of grooming products features skin-safe technology to practically eliminate nicks or scratches and has easily replaceable blades to ensure you're always getting the perfect shave. Manscaped has other equally innovative grooming products for men, like their anti-chafing deodorant, body wash, so your below deck areas get special treatment. Make sure to click on Manscaped's sponsor quest and use the code Matcherino in the checkout to get 20% off your next order. And we are so grateful for Manscaped sponsoring Alpha X and all of the productions that we do here with our team. So thank you so much. If you have the opportunity, please do consider supporting them as they are supporting StarCraft 2 and esports in general. So we are going to go to our break here. When we come back, it is going to be Beef Rice Stew versus Why Are You Here in our second match of the BJ Destruction League Day 3. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. And welcome back, everyone, to day 3 of the BJ Destruction League, brought to you by Afrika TV and Alpha X. My name is Rushy. We're getting set up for match number 2 here on our day 2 here. It's going to be lots of Protoss players. 2 teams looking for their first win in this series here. It's going to be Beef Rice Stew versus Why Are You Here? We already have a couple of victories off of these players, but no team victory just yet. So it is going to be Zest, Stats, and Special, our lone Terran player in this series, versus Trap, Patience, and Creator. Of course, both of those teams in their day 1 and day 2 matches did fall. Why Are You Here? Taking actually that all kill from 3 Zerg, who almost fell a victim to it themselves. And Beef Rice Stew almost securing a win over Big Brother Cure, but of course could not close that out. So they are going to be looking for their first victories today. Both teams are 0-1. And that will continue to divide our ladder just a little bit here to give us a bit more of a unique standing going into day number 4 tomorrow. Of course, all of these players still working their way around the circuit. Each team will get 4 days to play, 1 day off, and it will be interesting to see where things shake out. But we are going to jump right into Death Aura for game number 1 here, and we are going to see our lone Terran start off the team for Why Are You Here? Give it up for Special in the bottom right, and in the top left, playing for Team Beef Rice Stew, it will be Patience. So we're going to start with a little TVP. If Special can get everything rolling here, it will be TVPs all the way out, but Special is the lone player protecting us from a PvP system. All the way through the remainder of today's cast. So right now, we are kind of getting set up here into this first series. Patience getting across to secure a little bit of scouting and economic damage here, trying to get everything worked into place for our game number 1. Special doing a nice job of zoning out the probe. We'll be able to get down to the low ground with the weakened SCV to get his natural. And both Patience and Special going to at least start this series with a bit of easy macro play. So game number 1, going to get off to a bit of a slow start here, but not uncommon for this matchup here. This one likes to get to the mid game before things really get too crazy. Of course, Cannon Rush is not super effective against Terran, as you know, Terran can do that thing where they can just lift up most of their buildings, keeping that pretty standard and easy. As both of these players start winding up here, the SimCity from Patience going to make it very difficult to get those Reapers back into the mineral line. So as a result of that, this is just going to be a pretty standard Hellion opening here for Special. Twilight Council going down as well for Patience. Going to move across the map with this Stalker to get a little bit more scouting taken care of. One Adept on the field, but it does look like it could possibly be Blink Stalkers as a startup for our Protoss player. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. These two Hellions going to try and get some scouting information, maybe jump on top of the bio units. In fact, sees the Adept and just zoop, zips right by. Doesn't want to mess with that at this point. So both players just going to try and scout each other and get some information. Widowmine's already out onto the field. And those Stalkers already back at home to protect that the front of the base. Both players doing a very aggressive job of scouting. Both players not really finding a whole lot here. Now, Special has shown more of his hand getting those Widow Mines down. It does look like it's going to be a bit of a drop. Ooh, and the wall actually stays down. Allows the Adept to get up and in, and Patience can see a little bit of what's happening here. Those Hellions being a pain, though. Patience allowing those in, and 4 workers do go down. It's a fair amount of damage here for Special, and he's going to wind right up behind this with a nice Widow Mine drop. And already this game is starting to heat up just a little bit here. Special showcasing one of his talents and being able to attack and move on multiple fronts here. Will only have to focus on one spot here as he does come in with these Widow Mines. But the Stalkers are already in place. Those will not get as much damage done as he'd like with an Observer already on the map. Oh, it does get picked off with the mine shot. Both players trading out efficiently here. Picking off 4 more workers here for Patience. Special trying to secure himself. Does have a bunker down. Is able to protect against the push that's coming here. But that's a lot of Blink Stalker moving across the map. In fact, 9 in total. Special's got to be careful here. He does have a couple of tanks. He will be able to mitigate a little bit of this damage. But he's got to try and secure himself a little bit more army supply. He is burying the tanks back far enough where they will be in a protected position. But will this be enough? There's a Warp Prison to help give Patience some high ground vision. And yes, these Stalkers are just going to blink up on top. One tank will be able to engage on top of this. The first bunker does go down. But all of the Marines are safe, at least for now. Second tank is going to have to reposition itself here. Both of those gas geysers are under fire. One does go down. Warp Prism going to allow this push to stay here for just a little bit longer. Patience making the most of this. Does force a lift off of the starport. And those 10 Stalkers are going to be able to rotate here. Second Observer is going to perch itself here. Nice little Liberator play will be able to force a pull of the probes. But 2 more Stalkers being warped in back at home will make that not a lasting push. A Dark Shrine going down. So the Blink Stalker's continuing to make this a little bit of a nuisance here for Special. He is going to get brave, though, and throw down that third base, picking off the Observer. That will eliminate a little bit of the push here for Patience. And Special doing a nice job of holding this down, securing himself an SCV lead, getting that 53 to 48 lead. But Special also maintaining the army advantage as well. This Warp Prism trying to be a little bit more of a nuisance here. Marine's going to be able to rotate around and try and push this off. There's really nothing down here at the natural to defend this. So those Marines going to be very, very slow. Stimpack is not quite done. They are not going to be able to rotate as quickly. And these Stalkers are going to finally find a little bit of economic damage here, picking off 3 of those SCVs. But once again, Special making the most of this, protecting himself here. A couple of Dark Templar are going to get added into the mix, so Special needs to be careful to stash 1 or 2 scans to help protect this. But he's going to try and move out onto the map. Those DTs now flooding in here. He is going to see those 3 workers immediately going down, and then there's a DT up in the main base, but where did it go? It went up to the top side here. There is a turret, so that will be able to get scanned and taken care of. 4 workers going down. Special mitigating at least a little bit of that damage. And I think this is going to result in a big push here for Special. Yeah, he's just going to move out across the map. I mean, he has quite the significant lead here. Having to burn another scan to pick up the DTs. DTs being so annoying, trying to get as much damage done as possible. Finally, a turret down at the natural will be able to force that up and away. And here goes Special, going to try and leverage that army composition that he has. Patience being as annoying as he possibly can here, forcing Special back and away. The Observer getting picked off once again. Oh, nice tank on the low ground here. Will mitigate that escape path, taking off a little bit of the Stalker count. Stim pack now finally done. Good stim forward with a chunk of Special's army. Gonna clean up a couple more there. And Special has left a little bit back at home to help play against those DTs. Patience just trying to buy himself as much time as humanly possible. Again, being as annoying as he possibly can with these DTs. That DT will get picked off, but it did pull Special back. Special coming back with his whole army. This has got to be frustrating play here for our blue Terran. Doing a nice job of a hold positioning on those Marines and Marauders, making it impossible for Patience to wiggle in. So now +1 infantry is already completed. Special moving across the map, going to get aggressive against Patience, but that's bought Patience enough time here. He does have a couple of Colossi out. Fourth base will get canceled. He's going to try and throw it down once again, but it's going to be a bit of a drop into the main, splitting up his army here. Those Colossi are all on the low ground, so this will get a fair amount of damage done before these are able to rotate up. But a good recall will pull a good chunk of the Stalkers and DTs back up to the high ground. So now this is where Special thrives. He is able to attack on multiple fronts here. There is a good amount of ground army for Patience, so this won't be an easy pushover, especially with the large number of shield batteries. And we haven't really seen a whole lot of play with the new battery overcharge against Terran. Of course, with Zerg, it does allow greater defense for those tougher pushes. But with a more mobile bio army here from our Terran player, that battery overcharge is less so effective in this attack. So now Special continuing to hold down his lead. Look at that army count difference, 117 to 96. The DTs of Patience being so annoying, but always having a scan available to deal with that. I'm actually kind of surprised at this point that Special hasn't just come out with a Raven to sit with his army so he could save those valuable scans, but he's willing to toss those scans away to get that information. It's going to be Speed Zealots on the back side of this, perching and ready to go for a counterattack. There's a pretty decent tank count here at the third. Will make that a little bit more difficult for Patience to get in and deal damage. And Patience, who's been aggressive all game, really not finding the damage that he's looking for. However, evening out the probe count here, jumping ahead to a little bit of a supply lead. But he just doesn't have a big answer to this army yet. Ooh, DT is going to see this drop force here and is going to jump on top of it with these Stalkers. Blink Stalker's going to blink forward and grab one of the medevacs. 8 workers going down for Patience, and I'm not sure where. It must be up at the fourth base here. Don't quite have vision of it just yet, but it does look like a lot of action there on the back side of that fourth base. Yeah, it did look like a little bit of aggression there. Oh, a couple of those medevacs getting picked off immediately. And now Patience is starting to get out on the map a little bit more. Disruptors are here now. 16 workers having gone down. Oh gosh, this is a big swarm of Speed Zealots. Those Vikings are going to have to get added in here. The Vikings brought on to deal more damage against those Colossi will be forced to land to deal with the Zealots. 18 workers officially going down. I still haven't quite seen what was getting all of those kills here. It must have been a Liberator. But that's a fair amount of economic damage here, bringing Special onto the top side of the economic supply lead. So Patience doing everything he can to get himself ready for this big attack here. Another drop by Special will engage in the main base, going to force in a big warp in of Stalkers. And that is going to set us up for this engagement here. Tanks not quite spread the way that they could be. It's going to be vulnerable to those disruptor shots, but Ghosts will help mitigate some of that damage. Tanks are going to leapfrog forward here as the 4th base comes under fire here. Nice turret count here will make that easier to deal with. Vikings going to engage on top of those Colossi, and all the Colossi immediately get pushed back and away. 2 of them killed almost immediately. This 4th base will go down, and Special continuing to find damage here in game number 1, being just about as aggressive as his opponent. Patience living up to his name, though, just trying to play cautiously, not toss anything away. Tank's going to perch on the high ground to try and catch the units as they rotate over to the right, but Special not going to find the damage that he's looking for just yet. It's going to be Patience rotating over to the left side of the map here, taking that 4th base location, now populating it with his probes, and a 5th base over at the 9 o'clock position. Special wants to catch the rest of this army out, and he absolutely will. He jumps on top of this, and the Colossi and the Disruptor go down, so that that 4th base being rebuilt once again will not complete, and Patience finding himself in a bit of a pickle here, getting caught out with yet another another Colossi. That Colossi is immediately going to get picked down. 2 more Disruptors will get caught as well, and all of these high-value units of Patience getting caught here. The tank is going to be able to siege here. Oh my gosh, protecting that tank as much as possible here. Special getting so much damage. There is a set of DTs and Stalkers at the 3rd base of Special, but I just don't know if Patience has enough to deal with this across the map. A huge Disruptor shot cleans up most of that, and that is the damage that Patience was looking for. Special and now in a little bit of a trouble as he's forced to land those Vikings to fight, and all of this aggression is going to get cleaned up for Special. It has bought him a decent amount of time to get his economy down, but now his production cycle is a little bit behind here. He has a big gas bank, but not a whole lot of minerals to play with. And this is now what Patience has been waiting for. He's living up to his name, getting it set and squared away in this game number 1, and now he is going to be on the offensive here as he moves across the map with his army force. 2 of these medevacs going to get spotted almost immediately. Oh, big forward's going to pick off an entire medevac, and I believe that's the medevac that had tanks inside of it. So Special not trading very efficiently here. DT is going to scout the medevacs on the right-hand side, and there is a set of Stalkers at what would be the 5th base of Special. Doesn't quite engage just yet, but another observer will be able to see this. Patience is all over the map. His scouting is impeccable. And here comes the counter force here. Zealots will be able to mitigate that, and Special going to be forced to fly back and away. But look at how that supply has shifted. 166 to 138. Patience, once again, having control in this series. He's able to take out to a 6th and 7th base. Patience just has so much control here. Disruptor shots trying to zone out the army of Special, going to be effective for at least the time being. Oh my gosh, big transfer of workers running out to a 5th base location for Special. Special trying to get back into this. Once again, he needs that mineral count. And if Special's not able to get this 5th base down, that's going to be very, very difficult for him to leap back from. And the Stalkers will find this base moving. Patience knows he's in a good position here. Special was going to try and run across the map and get some damage done with Marines and Marauders, but will not be able to find the damage he's looking for. Patience does recall just in case, but he is max supply. So Patience just needs to get himself into a good position, and he can secure this game number 1 victory. Big run by of Charged Zealots here. Trying to, again, delay that mineral production of Special. He's got 1,500 gas. He just has zero mineral count to speak of. Now, Special is going to be able to get out to a full maxed out supply here, but behind this, he really does not have a whole lot to transition into. Oh, so many disruptor shots eat so much of Special's army. That is damage that Special cannot recover from right now. 110 to 73 supply. That disruptor getting 15 kills. Oh, that's so hard to see if you're Special. Losing 15 workers behind this as well. This is, again, all damage that he cannot recover from at this point. Patience at this time has 6 bases already secured. He's constantly able to get more and more of his bank. He's got plenty of minerals to keep warping in those zealots to deal counter damage as Special tries to get out onto the map. And if you're Special, this has got to be a frustrating moment for you. And here comes a big push here by Patience. This is going to be one of Special's last bastions here. Getting zoned out of his fifth base, excuse me. Oh, and this is going to be damage that Special cannot recover from. He's going to try and deal his own damage, but losing 20 workers on top of this is so difficult. Special now plummeting on the worker count, 76 to 34, and losing this planetary would just be the nail in the coffin. He's going to try and repair it, try and get as much damage as he can, but he's going to lose that 4th base once again. So now Special has to try and make this work off of his base count. But Patience has so many minerals here. He's got 2,000 minerals. He can afford to throw away a base or two, but he can't afford to throw away all of these Colossi. The Colossi will be able to zone. He does lose 1, but that's just going to be too much damage. GG is called, and Patience, again, living up to his namesake and getting a secured game number 1 victory in this series. So with Special being defeated, we are now going to be faced with continuous PvP action. Going to be all Protoss all the time for the remainder of this match. We'll have to see what Patience can pull out in store for his next 2 opponents in Stats and Zest. We'll have to see what Why Are You Here is going to pull out for game number 2. I'm so glad all of you able to join us this morning. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. My name is Rushy, casting on behalf of Alpha X, providing the only English stream for this event, and we're very proud to have a partnership with Afrika TV to make that possible. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. If you've got friends that love Protoss, send them this link. Get them over here to play.afrikatv.com/alphaxsc2, and we will have some fantastic games here for you as we get set up into game number 2 of match 2. Between the 2 teams looking for their first team win in this BJ Destruction League Season 2. So every win, very, very important right now as these teams are trying to secure themselves a place in the playoffs 3 days from now. Both teams need to start climbing the ladder if they want to be a part of that. But they aren't in the worst possible position here. But they do need to start winning. So we are jumping into map number 2 here. It's going to be Everdream. Patience down in the lower left-hand corner. And his next opponent in Stats spawning in the top right. So, interesting position that we find ourselves here in game number 2. As I stated, we are going to be PvP the remainder of the way. Now, PvP, as of late, has been a bit of a meme fest with lots of proxies. We'll have to see if that continues here in Season 2 of the BJ Destruction League and going into Season 2 of the GSL. Now, it is entirely possible that both of these players might not want to showcase everything that they have going for themselves. Both players being able to make it through into the next GSL. We'll have to see. Are these two players going to play each other? No. Not initially. Stats in Group B with Dark, Estrella, and Impact. And Patience in Group F with Trap, Bunny, and Ragnarok. So right now we are going to see two differing paths here in this game number 2. Patience going down for that early Nexus. And Stats going to throw down his Proxy Pylon here. Now, Patience is going to come across the map and see what is happening. He is going to notice the lack of a natural for his opponent. We'll have to see how he responds here. Now, Stats not leaving a probe down on the lower right with his Proxy Pylon. So more than likely, this pylon is just going to be for scouting initially. Now, Stats is going to get up here, and he is going to see just one gateway. And he is going to see that quick base. So both of these players now kind of scouting out their positions here. Patience sitting down in the third base location. What is he going to do? Is he looking for that proxy? If he is going to find that pile. Is he going to find it? No, not quite. So very interesting position here for both of our players. Patience opting to just stay on one gateway at this point, dropping down a Stargate behind this. Very interesting play. I don't know that I've seen a whole lot of PvP that doesn't open up with double gateway. But Patience gonna show us how it's done here in game number 2. Looking for the all-kill potential for his team here. And both players just playing very, very cautiously. This probe is going to get picked away. It's going to be a lot of adepts coming across the map. 2 by 2. There's an Oracle on the way as well. Patience going to now drop down his second gateway as Warp Gate is going to get finished up for both players. Shield Battery going to go down. Patience knows that Stats is coming across the map with those adepts, trying to limit that scouting information. And the adepts actually weren't going to be able to get too far in anyways, but he does see that initial scout. He knows that there is the potential for damage to be dealt here, but it's going to be off of the heels of no probes. None at that lower base. Only now is Patience going to get this transferred. And those adepts going to jump on into the main base here. So many probes going down already. 10 probes already taken care of. Patience not able to get the damage done across the map on his side. 13 probes. That's so much damage, and that Oracle has done 0. But he did grab a stasis ward. So while he does not get a bunch of probe kills, he absolutely grabs every single mineral mining drone of Stats. So it will be temporary damage, but damage nonetheless. This is a lot of stalkers coming out of Patience's base here. Be interesting to see if he wants to try and get some damage done with that. The stalkers of Stats will be able to push away the oracles, at least for now. This is a big push coming across the map here for Patience. It is scouted by an observer of Stats, so Stats knows this is coming, but what does he have here to deal with this? I mean, he's got two stalkers, he's got 2 sentries. There isn't a lot here to deal with this. A couple of shield batteries now finishing up. But here comes the aggression. Stalker's going to get as much damage done as possible before these shield batteries are able to hit the field. And he picks off one of the forward shield batteries, making this a very difficult engagement here. Battery overcharge going to be used right now to help keep the Warp Prism alive, and that is going to force Patience to back off, but he's able to get 8 probe kills before he's able to do so. So both of these players kind of evening themselves out in this series. And now Patience is going to turn and engage on top of this. The Phoenix is going to be able to zone out the Warp Prism. Warp Prism does get picked off and will be able to lift these units up. The Immortal joins the fight here for stats, and that will officially force Patience back and away. He doesn't have any Immortals of his own. Robotics Facility only now 2/3 of the way done back in his base. And Stats is going to go for a little bit of a scout here, and he does see that transition. So both players just kind of duking it out here in game number 2. Twilight Council on the way for Stats, about halfway done at this point. Another Warp Prism going to hit the field to try and supplement the army here of Stats. I believe that Observer did get picked off. So Stats does get his scout off. Oracle moving out across the map for Patience. Will just barely see that sentry. Does go looking for it now, and he does see the army. So he does get a scout on this push by Stats. A Forge going down as well. So going to try working on those upgrades. Both players staying on 2 base, at least at this point, and Patience going to try and go for that Stasis Ward once again. Will not be as effective this time, only grabbing 3 probes. So that will be lessened damage. Patience getting a good read on that. Or excuse me, Stats getting a good read on that, and Patience not getting the full damage that he's looking for. This Oracle will be able to fly into the dead space and continue to be a nuisance, at least for now. And behind this, Patience is going to rotate into his own Twilight Council, getting down his own Forge so he can get those upgrades going in this second match of the day. It's a big warping of warp gates here. 4 gateways on the way. Hallucinated Colossus going to make Patience think for just a moment. More than anything, trying to elicit a response. Hallucinated Colossi fighting against a Stalker. Kind of a funny sight to see. But it's going to be 6 gateways behind this. Stats going to go all in on the pressure here, while Patience is trying to transition to a little bit higher tech, throwing down that robotics bay. Now behind this, Stats is not going to go entirely all in. Does throw down that 3rd base. Patience going to match him about the same time. But does Patience know what's coming here? He does see a couple of the gateway in the main base with his double Immortal drop. Gonna try and get that pylon here. That Artosis pylon is so dangerously low. He does grab it. There is a second pylon still powering some of those. I didn't see where that pylon was. But not going to completely eliminate the power on those buildings. Oh, wait, no, it does appear that all of those buildings are down. So, good damage by Patience here. Slows down the production cycle of this push. And we are starting to see both players rotate into that 3rd base economy. The Nexus of Stats now complete. Patience only getting his started up here. So, does fall a little bit behind. Doesn't get a chance to see that Warp Prism moving out onto the map. So, Patience going to have to defend against his own push here. Both players even on army supply. Ooh, the Archon's getting a lot of damage done on that Phoenix. That Phoenix not going to be able to zone out for very long. But the Archons are spotted, so he does have to get out and away. Patience trying to catch that Warp Prism on the bottom side of the map here. I don't think Patience is going to find it. Looks like that will get called back home and protected at least for now. Now, Patience is going to dive on in here with his double Immortal drop once again. A DT going to sit at the ramp as well. Going to work its way into the natural here. There is an Observer, so that will immediately get spotted. No damage done there, but it is going to pull Stats at least a little bit out of position here. Does almost catch those Stalkers, though. So So that is a good defense here. And Stat's going to move out to his 4th base, trying to leap ahead economically. Does fall behind a little bit on that army count, 85 to 68. It's a lot of Blink Stalker here that Stats does not have a whole lot of answer for. 2 Immortals will be helpful, though. Good Guardian Shield coats a good chunk of this army. But this is now going to get to be a dangerous situation here. Zealots will join this army composition, but Patience having a very clear advantage here. Disruptor's going to make that a very difficult fight here, and Patience going to jump on top of everything, blinking forward, getting on top of all of these high-value units. Stat's going to make the most of this. No shield batteries to help defend, and Patience is just going to obliterate a good chunk of this army. Good warping of Zealots will make this happen, and a big Disruptor shot onto a giant chunk of those Stalkers will make this more and more difficult here. Stats army supply plummeting here as the reinforcements do get picked off as well, and Patience winning game number 2, putting himself into an all-kill position against his opponent. GG is called. Very, very good positioning here by Patience. Patience showing he's got lots of value in this setup here, getting himself in position to potentially win a 3-0 match over Team Why Are You Here? So this is now kind of a dangerous position here. Team Why Are You Here not claiming any victory yet on either the team or individual side. So that's got to be something that kind of resides in their head right now, as they are looking for their first individual win in this season 2 of the BJ Destruction League. If for some reason Patience is able to take that all kill, that will put Team Why Are You Here down 0-2, joining SSB. But in the case of individual statistics, Team SSB has 2 individual wins. So that would put Team Why Are You Here in a bit of a rough spot. They've already had their bye week and would go up against the undefeated Big Brother Cure tomorrow. So I know Zest is going to be looking desperately for a win here. Of course, obviously looking for the reverse sweep against his opponent. And Zest is best when it comes to PvP. But we're going to have to see if he can come up with 3 unique strategies against his all Protoss team opponents. And this does put us in a potential match point situation. Do want to take another opportunity to thank Manscaped for sponsoring Alpha X and all that we do here, all the different productions. Again, Father's Day coming up next week. Manscaped offering a wide variety of products for the man in your life. Again, if you want to use the code Matcherino on checkout, you can get 20% off your entire purchase from Manscaped. So we do encourage you to check them out. Thank them for sponsoring Alpha X and StarCraft 2 esports here in 2020. We're so grateful for the support that we get from them and the partnership that we have working forward. Of course, 2 of our mainstay sponsors in Titan EX1 and G Fuel as well. It takes a village to put together a StarCraft 2 team, and we're so grateful for all of the support and the sponsorships that we have maintained here at Alpha X. Alpha X going into their full 2nd year of strong content here in StarCraft 2, and we're so grateful for all of the support that we get and moving forward in our season. So this is a potential match point here for Beef Rice Stew, looking to close out the victory here. Patience looking for his all kill in this match number 2. Can Zest do it? Can Zest hold on and give Team Why Are You Here their first individual victory in this day number 3 of the league? Alrighty. So we are getting set and ready to go here. Our players taking just a moment to get caught up and ready to go. I believe we're going to be jumping in here shortly. It is going to be Patience versus Zest. And here we go. We're going to jump on in to potentially our final game of the day. if this player has anything to say about it, Team LP's Patience, spawning in the bottom left of Eternal Empire, is our blue Protoss player in Zest. We're going to have to see if Zest can squeeze out a victory here for his team in game number 3. But Patience would love to just close this out and end this match right here. So these two players have had a chance to see each other quite often. Both players mainstays in the GSL scene. In fact, Zest getting ready to play in his first GSL match just 5 days from now. On June 19th, we'll be in Group A. Zest playing with Zaun, his teammate Special, and Sue. So Zest will look for yet another appearance into the group of 16 in the Season 2 of GSL. Now, both of these players choosing to open up with Double Gateway once again. So this is a little bit more of a common play style that I'm used to seeing. Both players opening up very similarly. Zest is going to get up and scout in here and see that his opponent is kind of on the same count as him, but should notice the lack of one probe, as Patience has put a probe or a pylon down in the lower right corner. It'll be Patience this time with the scouting pylon to make sure that proxies are not on the way. Players are going to differentiate here. Zest going to go for that double adept timing. Patience going to go for that double stalker. Robotics facility going down very, very early for Zest. Going to try and get that tech count a little faster than his opponent. Does look like Patience is going to go down for the Nexus. Patience also going to grab 2 sentries to go along with these stalkers. And here goes the Nexus. So claiming that natural base very, very early on. Zest opting for tech. Patience opting for the economy. Now, one stalker will see these adepts move out. The adepts are going to be able to zone effectively here, trying to get a little bit of a scout. Doesn't get too far in, not committing to the shade. There's going to be a warp prism out on the map very early for Zest. Zest trying to get some early map control. Going to put down his warp prism. But Patience sees that Zest not going for that natural base just yet. He's got that probe on patrol. He's desperately watching. He's got to know that Zest is not committing into that economy just yet. Couple of hallucinated Phoenix going to try and scout. He knows that pressure is coming, but he hasn't seen it just yet. Patience is going to lose that valuable scout, and that Phoenix just missing the warp prism flying by. That warp prism is going to go directly into the main here. The army of Patience is here, and is going to mitigate this damage. We'll push the warp prism back and away. Patience still looking for that natural to go down as Zest, and Zest not committing to it at this time, committing to more and more units, wanting to get as much pressure on as possible here. 4 adepts going to shade on forward and actually complete the shade. Going to jump right on top of all of these sentries and will one-tap all those sentries, grabbing a couple of probes as well, and gets out. That's great damage. So much gas lost for Patience, and that's going to probably push Zest into a continued aggression here. So more warp-ins of these adepts. Gonna try and zone out these stalkers. We'll pick off one. And this is getting to be a scary position here for Patience. There's a large number of adepts gonna leap on forward, gonna get into the main base and go straight for that probe line, trying to get as many probe kills as possible. Zest not overcommitting just yet, keeping a good chunk of his army down at the front of the natural. And here he goes. Gonna get on top of these shield batteries. 2 shield batteries will be allowed to finish. But there just isn't anything to deal with these adepts just yet. 9 probes getting killed overall. Patience in a bit of a pickle here, only having 15 workers to speak to. And that's going to be enough. GG is called and Zest begins his journey. He begins his journey to the reverse sweep, but secures the first individual win for his team and brings a little bit of hope back into this series. So Patience being denied the all kill at this point. We're going to have to see where Beef Rice Stew goes from here. Again, Zest knows that he can prepare for PvP all the way out. But it's going to be either Trap or Creator coming in the second, the fourth game of this series. It is a best of 5. So we'll provide a little bit of life for this team. So we all knew Zest was best. Now we're seeing it on full display here as we get ready for game number 4. I am going to toss this over very briefly. I do need to step away for just a moment, but don't go anywhere, folks. I'm going to put up our Korean casters. You can pretend what they are saying here as we get ready for our game number 4. I'll be right back to cast more of this series with you, and I'll be back in just a second. All right, thank you so much for being patient with me. We are back. We will be jumping into this game number 4 here in just a moment. Again, Zest securing himself an individual win and trying to get the reverse sweep here for Team Why Are You Here. We are going to see who Beef Rice Stew sends out next in either Trap or Creator. Both players, again, lots of mainstays in the GSL scene, so I'm sure that we will be in for an outstanding game. Yeah, I didn't know that TY was doing the Korean cast. So yeah, we've got Caster Park, we've got TY, we've got the whole GSL crew here. It was actually very, very cool to see as I pulled up the clean feed today for Afrika TV that we were getting right on the backside of the ASL cast. So all of the mainstays here for GSL making their appearance today. And I'm just lucky to be able to be a part of the cast as well. As we do jump in to game number 4 here, Zest spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Golden Wall. And it is Creator looking to close out the series here for Beef Rice Stew. Yeah, thank you so much for the thanks there, Sivar. I'm just happy to be a part of this cast, to be able to bring the English cast of the BJ Destruction League Season 2. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. I know that there are lots of options today for StarCraft 2, as also the ESL Korean Cup going on right now. Actually, excuse me, the Asia Cup. I apologize. So I'm so glad that 115 of you are able to join me here on Afrika TV for some more awesome StarCraft 2 content. All right. A little bit of a difference in build styles here. Creator opting to build up on the high ground in the main base, but Zest starting the wall down at the natural. That might lead us to see Zest go for that early Nexus, and that is exactly what's going to happen here. So already a large difference in build orders here, but Creator getting a probe out onto the top side of the map here. We might see ourselves a little bit of a proxy coming here. And Creator's exactly going to do that. At least going to drop the pylon for right now. Ooh, and it is Creator versus Zest. So I'll make sure to get that updated here. So that way we have all of that valuable information into this game number 4. Creator again on match point. Might want to get a little aggressive here to see if he can jump on top of Zest and end his potential reverse all kill. So we are just looking to see what Creator's going to come up with here. Possible that we could see a proxy Robo. But as of right now, Creator doesn't want to commit to anything. He's going to scout around to maybe concerned that Zest has a proxy of his own. And actually, both players are going to try and scout each other out. They might. Those two probes are actually going to. They're just going to almost cross paths. There's going to be a robotics facility back at home for Zest. Zest already has his Nexus secured. I don't believe Creator has any information about this proxy just yet. Creator now getting his own Nexus. The probe of Zest is going to get up here and see that, so he does know that the natural is incoming. 4 stalkers already on the map for Creator. Creator does have a strong lead here on the army count, but I think that will be mitigated here rather quickly by Zest, as he is now starting to get out his second gateway. Does have his robotics facility out. Going to get that observer right away to help spot. But it does look like Creator's going to be the aggressive one here in game number 4, as he is still working up that army count, getting prepared with those sentries to accompany his stalkers. And after what seemed like was going to be a bit of an aggressive opener by Creator, is kind of stalled out. Creator just opting to put that pylon out on the map, not wanting to use it for a proxy. We're going to see this game slowly slip into a bit of a macro cycle. Creator going to hallucinate a Phoenix and move out across to try and get a little bit of scouting information. Zest does get up. Oh, actually, no. Excuse me. Creator is going to use that pylon a little bit aggressively, at least, getting a warp-in of 2 adepts on the top side of the map. It is a slow warp-in, but still a proxy warp-in nonetheless. The hallucinated Phoenix going to swing on in here and does get a full scout, sees that second base, which is already done, and the full wall off at the natural. So if you're Creator, you have to wonder what's going to be coming across the map at you. If he's got a full wall off, you're not going to be able to engage in on top of it. And it is going to be a warp prism here on the bottom right side. But there are stalkers already in position. This will be difficult to siege here for Zest, but Zest still going to give it a try. Warps in 2 adepts, going to try and drop those in, but the stalker already on top of it. He's going to have to pick those up and leave for right now. 2 stalkers will be too much, not able to dance around that long enough. Phoenix going to sweep on in and get another full scout on Zest, and Creator sees that Zest has committed into this macro style play. I hope these two warp prisms going to see each other and say, oh, hi, nothing to see here. Don't be suspicious. But Zest's going to keep the pressure on here. He gets in with his own hallucinated Phoenix, sees that there is no unit down at the natural. Only now we'll see the rotation of these units, and is going to try and get on top of the sentries. Not going to be as effective as he was in game number 3 against Patience. Not connecting with all of the shots. Guardian Shield will mitigate some of that damage. And behind this, both players continuing to try and tech up here. Immortals now hitting the field. Both players working on getting charge. Some very nice force field micro to prevent those adepts from being able to shade forward into the mineral line. So Zest protecting his economy, at least at this time. And both players sitting pretty securely on 2 bases. Almost even on not only worker count, but unit count as well. Both players getting up to 4 more gateways, looking for more aggression. And now Creator going to reach out to his 3rd base and try and get more done in that regard. Trying to expand his economy just a little bit more. So if you're Zest, how do you respond to this? He doesn't quite know about the existence of that third base. The Warp Prism is going to move out with the double Immortals, so he will get a chance to possibly see this. Some High Templar hitting the field for Zest as well. Yeah, just going to make those into Archons. Nothing too scary. Oh yeah, Warp Prism is going to get up here and see this third base. He might drop this, but the Archon already here for Creator. This will get zoned back and away. And Zest is going to find a little bit of damage here in the natural, being able to poke away at a couple of the workers. Oh, actually finding himself a nice little corner to hide in. But Creator getting a huge warp in here. Well, this is actually a warp in of Zest. It looked a little misleading there for a moment, but both players trying to find a little bit of damage. Zest staying a little bit on the high side of the army count here, 109 to 102. But both players kind of staying even with each other. Zest has not thrown down his third base just yet, so delaying that third Nexus, opting to get a few more units. Continuing to be annoying with those Immortals, getting 4 worker kills so far. And it is forcing Creator to stay back at home and protective. Now Zest does get out to that third Nexus. So these two players going to try and take the distance here. And they are staying rather close to each other in terms of technology, both getting that +2 upgrade for all of their ground units. Creator does get a chance to see that there is a third base. The Observer getting some valuable information. The Warp Prism of Zest continuing to be annoying, as these Immortals are going to come on in here and dish out a little bit more damage. In fact, the double Immortal drop for Creators turned into a double Archon drop. So Zest needs to recognize that and be careful that he doesn't try to trade against 2 Immortals. But now Zest's going to move out with that army supply lead here. His army is a little bit spread, so he's got to be careful here, but he's going to immediately get on top of those probes and now has a really nice concave against his opponent. Nice warp in of High Templar will be able to add Archons into the fight, pushing that Archon all the way forward. So the Archon already making its way to the front line here. Zest trying to get as much damage done as possible. Does pick off 10 of those workers, but does he have enough to deal with the army of Creator? Creator going to try and protect his third base here. Some very, very good pickup micro on both players' accounts, but Zest continuing to warp in here. Maintains a slight army lead, but the army units of Zest getting a little bit low. Creator dropping in supply, though, losing so many of those valuable Archons. Is Zest going to be able to do this? He continues to maintain that pressure, but Creator is going to be able to push this back and away. And both players just kind of slugging it out here. So Creator is going to move out onto the map here and now try to be the aggressive one. Creator was prepared with those shield batteries on the bottom side there, so very good defense by Creator, but it did come at the cost of 10 of his workers, so not as effective as he probably would have hoped for. Zest getting the damage that he was looking for, secures himself a little bit of a worker lead here. But it does come at the cost of a good chunk of his army here. He is going to have to continue mitigating the damage here by this drop. And this drop gets dangerously low. And both of those Immortals are left to be recalled back. And he does lose one of them. So very good damage dealt by Zest, holding off that Warp Prism. And now Creator kind of in a bit of a pickle here. He is falling behind a little bit in the army count. Has maintained the worker count. Both players sitting on 3 bases with about 47 workers apiece, but Zest leaping out, being a little more efficient with his army, is going to try and drop these Archons into the main. And I think the entirety of the army of Creator is actually out at the front, so this will go rather undealt with, at least initially. And there's no probe pull. Creator focused on the army out in the center of the map, and there is not a lot back at home to deal with this. So Zest is going to have to take an opportunity to jump on top of this army, but he's got to be careful. He doesn't want to engage with only Zealots on top of these Archons. So Zest not quite in the position that he wants to be. but now is able to get back home to his reinforcements. Tons and tons of zealots being warped in to help mitigate some of the damage. And the numbers do look to be in the favor of Creator. Now, the Warp Prism did get recalled back home for Zest. Very, very good engagements here. Those Archons getting on top of all of the Zealots of Creator. And Creator's army supply plummets here. 63 to 41. Zest getting a very good engagement here. Has a great concave on all of this army. And GG is called. Zest is one game away from completing the reverse sweep here. He wants to secure the team's first victory here as they get prepared to face the undefeated Big Brother Cure. Once again, Zest showcasing his strength here in PvP as we are going to get set up and ready to go. It will be Zest versus Trap. Outstanding play by both of these outstanding players. And this is going to be the ace match here for both teams. Both teams looking for their team point win. If Trap is going to secure the win, he is going to have to do it off of a Zest that is on a roll here in this series, this best of 5 series. Outstanding games here by both teams. And now we are going to see who can close this out. So Trap going to try and anchor this down and secure the revenge for his two opponents, or his two teammates, excuse me. And that will set up a possible interesting scenario here. Beef Rice Stew, if they do fall, Beef Rice Stew will go up against Team SSB tomorrow. So that would be another battle of 2 winless teams. Both teams would be 0-2. Beef Rice Stew is able to close this out. They will potentially position themselves into a solid second place going into day 4. So every single win here, very, very valuable. But Zest does put himself in a good position here. If for some reason Zest cannot close this out, will remain even with SSB, who currently also sits 0-2 on the team wins. SSB actually getting the day off, so they won't play again until tomorrow, where all the teams will have at least 2 wins. So here we go. We are headed to the ace match here on Submarine. Spawning in the top left, it is going to be Zest, who has the momentum of 2 back-to-back wins. Trap is the only thing that stands in his way from completing the reverse all kill. Now, Zest and Trap, both outstanding players here. Trap making it rather deep in the last few events that he has been a part of. Actually, just recently placing 3rd in the Team Liquid Star League 5. He also recently placed 3rd/4th in the GSL Super Tournament prior to the first GSL season completing. So that did give Trap a trip into the round of 16, where he placed 2nd behind Parting in Group C, and Trap almost making it to the round of 4, but falling to Innovation. So Trap seeing a good amount of success here in the previous year of StarCraft. Both of these players are going to cross paths, but did Trap actually see Zest's probe? It looked like Zest did get the scout off because he did park his unit on the obscured grass. But now both of those players are going to proxy about right next to each other. So I'm thinking that Zest got the scout, because I think Zest was being a little more deliberate with his probe, parking it in that obscured grass, where Trap, I think, just had that probe rallied up. And now that probe is going to drop the proxy Stargate. And it's going to be a proxy Robo by Zest. Now Zest is going to come up here. Yeah, this is where, yes, exactly. Yeah, Zest has a full information on this scout. And he is going to immediately reveal that he has scouted this. I'm actually a little surprised by that. Tagging that pylon, trying to get a little bit of damage done. I'm wondering if that probe can actually nuke down that pylon before any units are able to come out. You have to think that Trap's going to come across with the Adepts, but the Adepts are actually just going to... Oh, nope, they are going to swing on north. So they will get a chance to see the proxy location of Zest as well. So both of these players are going to try and shut down the proxies of each other. Now, Zest does clean up the probe in the main base. Oh, this is such a scrappy game here. Scrappy game number 5. Oh, Zest actually accidentally traps one of his stalkers. It is a full wall off in the main base, so that stalker is just now going to be on patrol, trying to protect those probes as much as possible. So Zest not having his full army out on the map, but Zest's going to make the most of it. Now, Trap's proxy Stargate did get shut down, but the proxy robo facility of Zest is able to go unchecked. So one Immortal out onto the map. This is getting to be a scary position here for Trap to play from. Trap is down on technology. He is down a little bit on units. These Stalkers and Immortals going to be so valuable in this fight. And a Warp Prism will be added onto this as well. So Trap does rotate around. He doesn't want to try and get on top of this pylon. So eventually this will get put back into place. I don't know that that Zest has any opportunity here to deal with this, but one Immortal will be enough, at least for now. Stalkers do go back to deal with this and will protect the robotics facility. In fact, I think he will get a kill on both of those Adepts. Dangerously low, does get picked off. So the robotics facility of Zest still out on the map, still available. Second Immortal added in. That's a good... Oh, that's interesting. Is that a fast warp in? No, absolutely not. So those 3 Adepts will get warped in slow, but that is okay. Zest is continuing to put on the pressure here. Trap is not going to be able to get out onto the map just yet. And this warp gate is getting low. The shield battery will try and connect with this. And Zest rotating up to the high ground here with his Immortals, trying to get a little bit of damage done onto these pylons as well. Those shield batteries using up their valuable energy here on pylons, which is great for Zest. That is going to make his attack here much stronger. Both players still staying on one base, so the aggression is still keeping up here. Disruptor is going to be on the map as well. Oh, Zest, you're showing why you are best, my friend. Trap on the back foot here, does have his own robotics bay, but is going to be a little bit late on the draw with his own disruptors. So Zest going to continue to try dealing damage here. Does get up onto the high ground. Is going to put a lot of damage onto this shield battery. And one shield battery does get picked off. Again, every single building that is picked away further advances Zest in this eventual engagement here. And this is for all the point total here. The winner of this map will be securing a point for their opponent. Zest does kind of have to babysit this a little bit. Does not want to lose the production on that robotics facility, but does have 2 disruptors out. And now Zest is going to move forward here. He does have a similar amount of army supply as his opponent, but his army much more sophisticated. So Trap actually going to go for the speed prism upgrade. All right, the disruptor going to that was very interesting. Didn't quite get all of the damage done on that Immortal. Oh, I think the Immortal still had barrier. Some really great force fields zoning out Zest's units, and his Trap trading so effectively right now. One of those warp gates will get picked off and damage dealt to it. All these disruptors getting so much damage. Oh, Zest, you got to pick it up. Oh, does get a nice pickup here on the last second. Now the second shot will be just as effective here. Oh, but both disruptors of Zest getting picked off here. So Zest losing a little bit of the technicality of his army. This continues to be a very, very delicate situation for both players. Both players dead even on economy and army. 23-47 for both players. But Trap is going to utilize his Warp Prism speed to full advantage here, being able to zone and kite this army as effectively as possible. That's going to continue to try and posture up here. No position moving down to the low ground for either player. However, Trap does have that probe in position. Oh, the disruptor shot does go down, but it does not connect, and Zest is finding himself on a little bit of the back foot here, losing some of these valuable army units. He needs to be able to kite this Warp Prism, but is not able to do so. Both players now having that Warp Prism speed, and Trap going to try and move down to the low ground here. Trap is going to be able to shut down this robotics facility. Oh, is he going to get, he's going to get so many of those probes, 7 probe kills. That's a great position for Zest to be in, at least trying to get that kind of damage done, but I think that's going to force Trap into a bit of a push here, as he is going to be down economically. He is going to get that second base going, but Zest able to leverage out the army and worker count. So now here comes Zest with aggression of his own, trying to deal a little bit of damage. One stalker going to try and work away at the Warp Prism, but will not be able to find the damage it's looking for. And both of these players just playing as scrappy as they possibly can. Zest got to be very, very careful here. Those stalkers in good position, getting a lot of damage done. That disruptor going to get so much damage done on army and workers, picking off 5 more workers as well. Zest trying to keep Trap on a low worker count. At least at that point, then he can trade inefficiently and still be able to come out ahead here. But Trap maintaining that army lead here, 49-48. The robotics facility finally getting picked off for Zest. And Zest continuing to work away at the worker count of Trap. Trap just does not have a response to this. He's going to have to recall up into the main here with a good chunk of his army just to try to mitigate some of that damage. And that Warp Prism's so dangerously low. In fact, Trap is going to go out and try and engage on top of this. I believe he's got 4 stalkers in that Warp Prism, and Zest is going to have to respect that. He doesn't want to lose this Warp Prism. He's going to fly that all the way back home to the safety of shield batteries. And now Zest is going to be able to zone out this Warp Prism with a Phoenix, showcasing that he does have Stargate on the field. Ooh, getting a lot of good damage down. Going to have all of those stalkers brought to the low ground. And now Trap is going to be the one putting on pressure here, as he does need to be careful. Those Phoenix will be able to lift up those high-tech units in the disruptors. He needs all those disruptors on the ground so they can fire their shots effectively. Slow Zealots are as a part of this army, but they just cannot engage on top of this faster moving army of Trap. And Trap gonna slowly inch his way forward and getting into position for those disruptors to get their shots off. Waiting for those first disruptors, trying to wait and buy time for those engagements to happen. But Zest doing a nice job of trying to zone this back and away. One disruptor does get lifted up. The second disruptor also being lifted as well. That Void Ray getting so much damage on both of those disruptors. Able to get so much damage, and Zest completes the reverse all kill and makes it happen there. And he celebrates. You can see him fist pumping. He's so excited. His teammate getting so much good damage done. And Zest completes the reverse sweep, killing all 3 of his opponents. Outstanding play. And GG is called. So that is a bit of a situation here, as that does give us now our bracket updated here. So why are you here? Showing why they are here in this series and managed to squeak out their first team win in day number 3, and that will position them into a battle with the undefeated Big Brother Cure tomorrow in the second series as well. Beef Rice Stew is going to slip down, looking so good for the first few games there. Patience carrying that as far as he can, but unable to complete. So they will slip down into 0-2 and face off against SSB tomorrow in another battle of teams looking for their first team win in this series. Whew. 2 more days of regular play before we set up our playoff bracket for day 6 and 7. So we are going to take a look here at brackets here in just a moment to take a look at a recap of what's happened today. And there you can see it with Zest securing the all kill for Team Why Are You Here, showing why Zest is best and getting those 3 PvP wins. And that will once again lead us into our day number 4. The 3 Zergs are going to have their bye tomorrow, so they will not play. And as you can see, recap of today, 3-1 Big Brother Cure moves into that first place slot. And Zest again securing that all kill to move into the middle of the pack. Here's a full look at the team rankings here as we get set into place. So teams 4 and 5 will be able to separate themselves further tomorrow as they do square off in the first match of day number 4. 3 Zerg having their bye, and it will be the undefeated team squaring off against our 1-1 team in Beef Right and Why Are You Here versus Big Brother Cure. So that is going to be the end of our production today. I want to take an opportunity to thank all of the sponsors that help make this possible here at Alpha X SC2. Of course, Titan EX1 and G Fuel, our sponsor today, and Manscaped. Thank you so much for all of the partnership that they do there. And that sets us up for day number 4. Day number 4 going to be coming up tomorrow. It's going to be at the same time here at 19 in Eastern Asia, of course 5 a.m. Central Daylight Time in the United States, right around noon in Central Europe as well. So we will be signing off here very, very shortly. I want to thank everybody for watching. My name is Rushy. If you want to catch more of my content and see me on an individual level, you can find me at twitter.com/RushySC. Of course, if you want to watch some of my games as well, not going to be quite as good as the professionals here in GSL and the BJ Destruction League, but you can catch me at twitch.tv/RushySC. Of course, thank you to Alpha X for allowing me to cast this. A thank you to Afrika TV for providing this awesome, clean feed so that we can get some great production value on top of some great games. Please do make sure to check out all of the Alpha X information. You can see that right above my head and right above my Korean caster's head as well. Alpha X bringing you tons of great semi-professional, amateur, and of course, professional content here in the StarCraft 2 scene. So we'll be back tomorrow with day 4 of the BJ Destruction League Season 2. But for now, we will be signing off. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you again next time for day number 4. Don't miss it. It'll be great. Have a fantastic morning, noon, or night wherever you're at. Take care.